another rule of comms I find is heckle your allies in order to build trust and allyship.
Does that work for you? Heckling your allies?
It actually does. No one knows why it works for me, but it does.
Are you sure it's working? Maybe it would work better if you have you tried an experiment? Have you tried actually not heckling and see if that goes better for you?
There was actually
imagine how successful you could be.
You're not aware of this. There was a day when I didn't make fun of you, and it didn't help.
It was like a Thursday. It was some random.
You see, and this is the problem. It was a Tuesday, not a Thursday.
It's a Tuesday.
And he didn't even notice.
I didn't even notice.
Right? But you notice when I heckle you.
I'm sorry, what? We got a minion. Did you see this? I want to point out we got a minion. A loyal listener, a friend of the pod, senior comms person at an international organization. Gave me a minion.
So are we actually rolling right now?
Yeah, little red lights on. That you can tell. How long you been doing this?
Too long?
Too long.
So,
oh look, time is up.
I think what Loge would like to say is thank you for the minion.
Yes.
He's honored. And what I would like to say, yes, I just said honored instead of honored. Let me take that again. So what Loge
she was
would
like
like
a one-hit
say,
wonder in the 90s, wasn't she?
Excuse me, I'm talking here.
Oh, wow.
What Loge would like to say is thank you for the minion. He's honored. And what I would like to say is thank you, but please stop encouraging him.
Okay, so there's more listener feedback.
Uh-huh.
After we both posted the last pod on Blue Sky, the clip of YouTube, so it's one of the many places you can watch the pod. Mm-hmm. One of our loyal listeners asked, does every podcast need to be cable access level video talk show now? And my answer was the terms of service said cable access or bunker. Went with cable access because there's better ventilation. And you said all no, ours yes. Both quality answers and quality feedback from the audience.
That was from Kevin Collins, old friend.
I wasn't going to reveal it because now he's. I don't know.
Kevin can be famous for this, and amongst many other things.
Famous for it.
Pod famous
among our several listeners.
So here's why I'm currently regretting that this is also a video podcast.
Why is that?
In the first iteration of this podcast,
so you can see the minion. I can show the minion.
If I can get a word in edgewise. So, in the first iteration of this podcast, we did this via Zoom.
Yes.
And that meant that I would just go upstairs and record it, and you could see the fan above my head. Mm-hmm. And no one knew whether or not I was wearing pants or shorts.
I'm questioning. You don't have to wear shoes.
So no, or shorts. I said.
Shorts. Oh,
it is today, 90 degrees out and 98% humidity. And since we're now doing this for video, I had to commute 40 minutes to the office, most of it walking, wearing jeans because I'm not going to do shorts on air. So I have sweated out my body weight for this podcast today. Let's make it a good one.
You're devoted to it. You're devoted to it. I would also point out that since we're not since we're not on Zoom anymore, the audio and video are actually good.
Yeah,
and it helps that Jack, the Latin Grammy-winning producer, is doing the audio. I'm sorry that you had to leave your house.
It's really hot out.
Yes, it is. Everybody in this room also had to leave their house. Jack doesn't have air conditioning.
So Jack was going to be here anyway.
Well, you're going to be here anyway for the podcast. Do you want to get to it?
Let's get into it. Okay.
Let's go to it, shall we? We got stuff. They're things.
Welcome, listeners, to Office Hours with Karpf and Loge. It has the same vibe as my office hours where I'm trying to do something productive and then Peter Loge just shows up.
That's part of the role of management. I have an apology to make to our listeners. Pundits are historically very bad at predicting the political future. We know this from a lot of research that the more you know about politics, the less likely you are to be able to predict political outcomes. On our last episode, I suggested that Arsenal would win the Champions League. They did not. Mm-hmm. So I just want to be upfront and admit that I got that wrong.
So I should probably admit a prediction that I made, not during the episode, but on Blue Sky in between. When it came out that Donald Trump was going to be attending Game 3 of the NBA Finals, I predicted on Blue Sky that he would be filmed on television falling asleep, asleep during it. That proved 100% accurate, which just shows that I'm better at this stuff than you.
You are better at predicting Donald Trump's sleep patterns than than many people.
It's
and
a
that's
very
a
useful skill.
And that's the thing.
But yeah, like during game 3, people
started.
started tweeting at me being like, man, I think what I said was like $10 says that they film him asleep. So people just started tweeting like, send that guy his money. And I was like, oh, yep, called it.
You could have been a polymarket.
I could have, but I have ethics.
So you're willing to gamble, just not in a way that's useful.
I'm willing to gamble for jokes.
Gambling for jokes.
Yeah.
Gambling for jokes.
I'm in it for the laugh.
You know, for the laugh. Really, because actually I'm in it for the paycheck and the air conditioning. I should say before we get into it, listeners, we actually are booking live shows.
We are.
So if you'd like us to come to your birthday party, wedding, bar mitzvah, vintage store.
I actually will not do bar mitzvahs, but anything else, yeah, we're in.
That's one whole revenue
I
line.
would feel bad for the 13-year-old.
Our producer now is she's got bills to pay, Dave. Be nice to Yvonne. She just moved. What do you want to talk about? There's many things to talk about. Many things. I have many things.
Octagon?
Oh God. So I know you've got thoughts. I have thoughts, but I do want to point out that I've been called by a number of reporters over the past few days about it. One U.S. outlet, the Washington Post. Everybody else is calling me as an international outlet. International journalist, and basically the question is, what on earth is going on?
Yeah.
And it's legitimate. The Post story was how Trump is celebrating his 80th versus how Biden celebrated his 80th, and it's kind of an 80th birthday thing. I've talked to several journalists from international outlets, and really the vibe is, what?
And I
think you speak for all of us.
Like, it's just one of those moments where I was mostly ignoring the Octagon on the White House lawn until it came up. My wife pointed out to me a couple of days ago, hey, just keep in mind we really can't drive across the city for the next 3 days because of traffic for the UFC. Like, they're basically shutting down much of Washington, D.C. to have UFC fights on the White House lawn, when, by the way, it's going to be like, with humidity, like basically like 100 degrees and 98% humidity, like god awful. And also, they built a UFC Octagon on the White House lawn.
Yeah, tore up the lawn.
And you ever see the show Community?
Yeah, of course.
I think it was season 5. There was an episode of Community where, by the way, I was expecting you to say no so that I could make fun of you for having no taste, but you did. Okay, way to ruin that. But so there's an episode of Community. We can cut that.
No, it's fine. We're live-ish adjacent. You were saying something?
There's an episode of Community where the A plot is this potential enrollee shows up who is the kid of somebody very rich. And so the dean basically says to everyone in the school, you need to treat him like royalty. Like, whatever thing he's into, that is the thing that the school does, because he has all the money and therefore we need to treat him as though he has all the power. Like, just make everything up for him. And the entire episode rolls out of them just sort of changing what the school is to meet the needs of just this like man-child.
Right.
And like the Octagon on the White House lawn just really, I think, is a good representation of the Trump era, where like there's no dignity in the White House anymore.
Right.
There's no sense of continuity or heritage, even though they're claiming this is a celebration of 250 years of America. Like, it's just Trump's kind of into UFC and likes to hang out with Dana White, so I guess we do that now. And everyone just kind of agrees, like, we're going to go along with it. Like, Republicans are supposed to be the conservative party that, like, their one cultural vibe is supposed to be, well, we liked things the way they were before. And now they've decided to justify and get behind, we'll just do a UFC Octagon on the White House lawn. Like, it's just, like, it's so tacky and embarrassing.
Yes.
And everyone just has to sort of wait it out, because the thinking is just give him what he wants and eventually he'll go away.
But, well, okay, so let's talk about that. So I am unsurprised. I'm also troubled by the Octagon, and partially because of the traffic confusion, but also because I do think it's undignified. And I think the White House is a symbol of an idea of what the U.S. should be. And the 250th anniversary, what I would really prefer is that the U.S. celebrate an idea of an ideal that we're never going to reach, but that we should always strive towards.
Yeah.
Right. I think I'm a proud American. I believe deeply in the promise of this country, And I believe in it because it's a promise, right? We're a country of laws, not men, of ideas, not personalities. And Trump has flipped it on its head. But I think the spectacle is Trump's brand. It was when he was a real estate developer. He opened casinos, big and flashy. Casinos went bankrupt. But the point is the opening. He did this as a TV host. And now he's doing it with UFC. It's big, it's spectacle. Because there's nothing beyond that moment. And there's also kind of if the world feels chaotic and the future's uncertain, I want a cage match because there's a winner, there's a loser, there's a thing, it's spectacle, I can get behind it. It's gladiators, right? The other part, though, as to why it's happening, two things strike me this. One is elected officials behave their incentives. We talk about this all of the time, right? If you want to lose, if support Trump until you've got nothing politically at stake, which means get through the primary. He had a rough primary, mixed primary results recently. So at this point, if you're a Republican, there's no political upside to attacking the cage match. You're not going to stop it. Of course, it's ridiculous, but like fight something else or wait to fight later. And the other, though, is a new piece from Pew on typologies. So Pew has a new typology report saying there are 9 basically political typologies. And the smallest ones are the ones in the extreme, the far left and the far right. And they sort of the Trump ride or die are relatively small. And that's who's super behind this. Most of everybody else is mostly kind of somewhere in the middle. But it's the ones at the extreme that get the attention because they're the most online, they're the most vocal, and so they're getting the most attention even though they're the least popular.
So yes, I want to note that is a good explanation of why it is in political leaders' interest to be massive fucking cowards.
Yeah.
While also making clear the massive fucking cowardice of it all. And again, of all the things that Trump is doing, this doesn't rate in the top 10 of worst things, right? Like, nobody's going to get murdered over this one.
Right. It's not Ebola.
This isn't even like troops walking around my neighborhood all the goddamn time.
Right.
I guess the thing that offends me as a political communicator, the rule of thumb that I teach in class and I blog about all the time, is that what you're looking for in framing is the ability to place yourself as the reasonable person and your opponent or the status quo is being ridiculous.
Right.
And you don't always have that opportunity. You don't always have that terrain. When you have it, seize it and hold it, and you won't necessarily win the structural battle, but you'll win the framing battle because everyone will get it. And what stands out to me is, yes, it is the Trump diehards who like this. That means that there's also a massive audience of people who look at this and say, that seems kind of gross and undignified, right? If ever there's going to be a segment of the Republican Party that actually stands up and reclaims it as standing for something other than whatever Donald wants, or I guess Donald Jr. wants soon. Right. This is a layup for them to say, we agree with all of these different things. We kind of think this is tacky as hell.
Right. I mean, and
like if they can't do this, what the hell can they do?
So, I mean, you're absolutely right on the comms piece, right? So both of us have worked in a lot of organizations where you need somebody to your left and to your right, right? The status quo needs to be bad. The people who want to change it radically to your right have to be really bad. People on your left, you got to be able to say, look, we know the status quo isn't working. We know there's a radical solution. We know those guys on the far left, they're a little nutty, but they kind of have a point. Let's move into this space.
I actually don't think you need a left and a right all the time.
But you need somebody to say, look, they're kind of crazy, but they've got a point.
All you need, I mean, I'm going to fight you on this. If you can adopt the position, if you were offered the position by circumstances or your opponents of being the reasonable person, while your opponent is absurd, you don't also need to find somebody else who's being absurd. You can just focus on the opponent, particularly when there's someone in power, and say, look, that's nuts. I think that's nuts and we ought to do a different thing. You don't actually need, like, everything else is complicated. So, like, you don't need to, like, be able to adopt the person in power is nuts, but those people over there is nuts as well. You just got to focus on, like, the person in power has decided to turn the white, like, you demolish the East Wing. That's our history, our heritage. Right. In order to build himself a ballroom that's also going to have drones flying out of the top of it. And now he's putting up a UFC Octagon on the White House lawn. I don't know. I kind of liked American tradition. Like, it's such a layup. It's such a gimme. And you don't even need to go at like, oh, but like those people over there saying that. No, like,
except that you've got a lot of people on the right saying, yeah, I think this is crazy, but look at those liberals. And you have had Republicans who are dyed-in-the-wool conservatives, many of whom used to be MAGA, who said, you know what, this guy's out of touch, and they keep losing primaries. Like Nancy Mace is unemployed.
I mean, sorry, was she considered a centrist in this regard?
No. But she was with Trump, but then she said, you know what, I believe in a lot of these policies, but, and she challenged him and said he's crazy, or not he's crazy, but
I think she's a bad example because she was famously a like nut bar drunk.
Liz Cheney.
Liz Cheney's a much better example.
Lauren Boebert.
Cheney is the better example.
She's a principled Republican. But you've also got a bunch of, and she was never a MAGA, but you've also got former MAGAs going, you know what, this has now gone too far. So people have tried, and they're all going to pick their best example. Well, I feel more like I'm a Nancy Mace or a Lauren Boebert or a Liz Cheney. That didn't work. I'm going to wait this guy out. I got to get through the primary.
Right. Again, I get that rationalization of cowardice.
Right.
The thing that I always come back to, some of this is, I'm kind of shadowboxing here with an argument that, I'm forgetting their names now. The two big international scholars who talk about how democracies die.
Until you mentioned
Levitsky.
it. Yeah.
Ziblatt and Levitsky.
Ziblatt and Levitsky, yeah.
So before the 2024 election, like part of their formula that they kept on saying in public was like, in order to prevent autocrats winning, you need to build a cross-partisan coalition that's going to include those moderate Republicans.
Right.
And the counter argument that I and a bunch of people were making at the time was like, I get that in theory. In practice, there aren't enough of them for it to really matter. It's like there are 6 of them. It would be great if there were more of them, and then you could build that cross-partisan coalition. As it is, I don't want to sacrifice too much going after all 6 of them because there's 6 of them.
Right.
And like this keeps on standing out to me of like, if within the broad tapestry of the Republican Party network that includes MAGA diehards and people who say like, yeah, I'm kind of scared of brown people, but also I like a sanitized history, and that sanitized history includes the White House being a White House without an octagon. Right. Like, if there are no political elites within the Republican Party network seeing any advantage in seizing that ground, the Republican Party is at least a decade away from ever fixing itself. Well, it's just pathetic.
But there have to be political incentives, right? When people say, well, we have to be brave and needs to be brave, they can be brave and then they lose.
But the incentive at least is like, there's an awful lot of audience that would nod along with you.
But yeah, they're not along, but they have to vote with you, right? I mean, this is one of John Zaller's lessons, right? That.
So then instead of an elected official, like, how about some of these cultural elites? Right? Like, where's the National Review saying that's tacky as hell?
It's not selling enough copies.
That's embarrassing.
Yes, it is embarrassing. Yes.
Get better at comms, like moderate Republicans, because you can't sell this. You have no talent, or at least you're so far gone that it's not worth bothering.
So then why? So if we need to, there are several overlapping comms questions, right? If you were one question is, if you were advising the right or the center right, how do you advise them to do a better job, or do you weigh in on 2 sets of things? One are structural changes like ranked choice voting. I'm obsessively checking the Maine gubernatorial primary because a friend of mine is currently not doing well, but on the second or third round might do exceptionally well. Or what do you do about states like Nebraska or Montana, where now you've got some interesting dynamics, right? In Montana, you've got Democrats and Republicans coming around the independent, who's a former president of the University of Montana, a Democrat who won the primary has not endorsed, unlike Nebraska, where the Democrat who won the primary actually said, you know what, Osborne, vote for the independent. Like, is that the solution? And if so, how do you make that work in places that are more densely populated and not called like Nebraska? There's an interesting play in South Dakota potentially, or North Dakota. Like, how do you make it work everywhere else?
So I know what stands out to me is I think that's a short-term solution.
Okay.
Right? Like, I think those are interesting cases for this cycle.
Right.
If we're looking multiple cycles, that's not the solution. Right?
Why not? Why wouldn't then the Democrats say, oh, this works, we're going to nominate, or a moderate gets elected as an independent, says, you know, actually, I align more with the Democratic Party. Therefore, I'm going to run as a Democrat, or at least there's infrastructure, or D's vote for D's. There's a whole lot of D's. I'm going to sign up to be a D. Why wouldn't that be a long-term solution?
I mean, let's just game out, like, just Nebraska. Let's say that this independent in Nebraska wins election this time. 6 years from now, it's a dude, right? He?
Osborne.
Osborne. Okay. That doesn't tell me if it's a guy or...
Yes, it's a guy. He's a famous politician.
Dan Osborne?
He's a famous politician in Nebraska. Yes.
Okay.
Keep going.
I have not been... Nebraska is one of the states that I have not been to.
Me either, but I still read.
Okay. Anyway... I read tweets.
Read tweets. We need more blue sky. We need Nebraska blue sky.
I also read a lot of books.
We need to read more books about Nebraska. Neil Young had an entire album called Nebraska.
That's great. Okay.
You're making a point somewhere?
The point that I was going
I'm
with.
a minion.
He's incorrigible now. Don't encourage him. If he wins this cycle,
Yes.
6 years from now, the question is going to be, well, when he runs then,
Yeah.
he's going to be considered a de facto Democrat.
Yeah.
And then either people are going to decide, well, we like the Democrats, so we're going to reward him, or they're going to decide, we're mad at the Democrats here in Nebraska, so we're going to punish him. And in those in-between years, he's going to be in the same trap as a lot of politicians, wanting to find a way to stand with the Democrats, but also show his independence during a set of years where at first Trump is still in office, and then maybe a Dem is the president, but they need to clean up the giant mess. So governing is going to be hard as hell, made harder by having a fractious coalition.
Right.
And you'll have these figures who aren't any more stable. In fact, they're probably more vulnerable because they won as independents, which means they need to show that they're not Democrats, but also voters are going to judge them as Democrats, and so they need to make it harder to govern so they can show independence, but then also be rewarded.
But if we're looking at...
As a long-term thing, it doesn't work. As a long-term thing, you're on one or the other side unless we change the electoral system, which we should. If we just go to having multi-member districts, snap of the fingers, then all this gets easier. But without that, just saying every few years we're gonna find somebody who, if the Democratic brand is bad, they'll be an independent, but then they'll go But if that doesn't work long term, it's not stable.
We're not going to be able to snap our fingers to get multi-member districts, and a lot of these smaller electoral.
By the way, he's not even trying to snap his fingers, folks. Come on,
I know.
Can I get a little?
I think you've snapped for us now. You've snapped for us now. That's very snappy of you. It's very snappy.
I came into the office in sweat for this.
Again,
I'm wearing pants for this.
I'm wearing pants for this. I just, there are ratings on YouTube. Is this made for children or not? And we're coming really close to that line. The
you brought on a minion. I'm talking about wearing pants. Yeah, it's good content.
The minion has pants. Minion pants. At any rate, if the point is you have to demonstrate a market for not extreme, not crazy partisans to run for office, maybe one way to do it is for candidates to run as independents. Then a D or an R can say, oh, actually, this is kind of popular. I'll actually succeed more because it's easier to run as a D or an R. You're sort of demonstrating proof of concept, potentially. I'm looking for comm solutions. I like structural solutions, like ranked choice voting is interesting. Some of the primary systems are interesting, but I'm looking for comm solutions to what appears to be an intractable problem. And it can't be Dave can snap his fingers.
Okay, so I would say the principle here is that often comm solutions are Band-Aids rather than anything broad, right? This cycle, are there a few states where you run an independent, the Democrats step back, that could get you 2 more senators, and then you try to do something meaningful when governing with that majority? Sure. Is that something where when you look forward to what is the future of the Democratic Party in capital letters, does that move the needle? No. Because in the longer run, problems emerge.
Right.
But when you're looking for comm solutions, mostly what you're saying is, oh, we have a problem. We wish we didn't have this problem, but we do. So what are we going to do about it? And that's where what you need is comms. So sure, in the near term, try it out, see if it works. We've got independents running, and then we've also got Graham Platner doing whatever the hell Graham Platner is doing. You've got a broad collection of people who are winning primaries and then hopefully win in the general, less because of their individual campaign choices than because of the broader wave that we're saying. When people go in to vote, they're going to be thinking less about what do I think of Platner or Osborne. Right. They'll think about that a little, but mostly what they're going to be thinking about, how much does gas cost? Yep. Wow, are we still at war with Iran?
Right.
And maybe a little bit of, like a memory that like Donald Trump fell asleep during the Octagon match on his White House lawn.
It'll be
right? Like
it'll be Trump
they're
is
being
out of
voted by
touch,
him.
doesn't get it, over the top. Gas is expensive. Things are out of control.
Everything's
things are broken.
falling apart.
Things right, and they were before. And I'm going to fire the guys in charge and bring the new guys. Like
Yeah.
this is a running theme of this.
That's
this
the broad
podcast.
dynamic.
And this, I mean, that's right. So, yes, with an eye to the clock, a couple of things. I do want to. We're going to keep coming back to this comms question, and there are a lot of comms challenges that I'm hoping to talk about in the future episodes around things like trust in public health. There's new research from Navigator Research on that, which is just profoundly alarming. Trust in public institutions. The Campaign Legal Center is running up against this, like, how do you just make people believe in elections? Things for future podcasts. I do want to talk about Platner briefly, mostly because I think this raises a real challenge for Democrats. If Platner were a Republican, my Democratic friends would be saying he has a Nazi tattoo, he sent really awful texts, he's unfit for office. Platner's a Democrat. And so my Democratic friends, many, not all, are bending over backwards to say, no, he's a working class guy, he made mistakes. Is this a time when Democrats in Maine should say, you know what, either I'm sitting it out, I'm writing somebody in, Collins has all sorts of challenges if you're a Democrat, but she's also been a defender of things like public health. Is it, for every Democrat who said, Republicans, I know you're conservative, you got to vote against Donald Trump because of bang, 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 should they now be saying you've got to vote against Platner because of bang, 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 bang?
No, of course not.
Why not?
Look, Platner's not my cup of tea. I don't like the Nazi tattoo. I made it real clear to my students when that came out.
Yeah.
Man, I really hope he's toast. And a bunch of my students who know something about Maine were like, I don't know, man. Mainers are still gonna like the guy.
Yeah.
And my lesson from that was, you know where I'm not taking the family vacation is Maine.
Maine's actually lovely.
Okay, but
He's also not like hard scrabble working class Maine. He's
Yeah.
a GW dropout who went to Hotchkiss.
I know all of this. And also, now that he's won the primary, like Maine Democrats are gonna need to vote for him, and apparently a bunch of them are excited to vote for him. I think he's gonna be the next Fetterman. And I think people like me are going to spend the next several years being like, "Jesus, we fucking told you. Oh my God, we told you."
But so,
like, I think it's going to be a mess.
So shouldn't they set it out? I mean, Republicans.
No, they
we told
shouldn't set it out. Set it out because things matter here.
But
Susan Collins has never stood up to Donald Trump when it matters. She's not going to stand up to him now. Everyone knows
So
that.
Nazi tattoos are okay in the age of Donald Trump.
Nazi tattoos aren't okay. I would have preferred Maine Democrats get their shit together and nominate somebody else. I'm rather pissed that they didn't. Now that they have, the idea of like, well, I guess you should probably vote for Susan Collins now or not vote at all. No, are you fucking kidding me?
But isn't that what Republicans were saying in 2016? I really wish the nominee had been Rubio, Jeb, or any number of other people. But hey, this is what we got, so we got to go with it.
I mean, that was the institutional logic for them in 2016. The logic for them in 2016, particularly because Mitch McConnell left that Supreme Court seat open, was even though Donald Trump is Donald Trump and we don't think he's going to grow into the office, and he didn't, we really want that Supreme Court seat. And that actually went fine for their narrow partisan interests.
Right. Taxes
while
and
being
judges.
real bad for the country.
Tax cuts and judges. Right.
Right now, we're in a situation where it is real bad for the country that Donald Trump is president. And Susan Collins, as a senator, will never stand up to him when it matters at all. And so the question is, do Maine Democrats want somebody who is going to stand up to the greatest threat to democracy we've had in this century or not? I would much rather they had not gone with that dude. But the idea of like, well, that's distasteful, so let's not be a bulwark against Trumpism isn't taking power seriously.
It's not distasteful. It's beyond distasteful. Distasteful is a bad tie.
Okay, but are we going to take power seriously or not?
This, I think, then becomes an interesting question for Maine Democrats. And I don't know what I would do. My in-laws are in Maine. I've got a lot of friends in Maine. And I really don't know what I would do. I really don't know what to do in this case. Like I do, there are 5 candidates currently vying to be for the Democratic nominee for governor, 3 of whom would have made a terrific U.S. senator had they decided to run for the Senate race rather than the governor's race. But that's
They all
not where
decided
we
to
are.
run for governor. Okay, I mean, like, look, I'm not saying the party elites didn't screw up here. I think that they did.
Yeah.
But again, this doesn't strike me as a hard one at all in general for voters. We know that when voters go into the voting booth, they are mostly going to be voting on Donald Trump and the state of the economy.
Yep.
Do you want a senator who stands with him or against him? Now, again, part of my worry about Platner is that I don't trust he's not going to be another Fetterman.
Right.
I think it's entirely possible that Democrats in Maine elect him, and then we spend the next 6 years being like, oh, God, he finds every single way to embarrass us and be a problem.
Yeah.
So I would rather they had elected somebody who not only didn't have a Nazi tattoo, but also could, I could say with confidence, will actually just be a Democratic backbencher and help stand up to power. Nonetheless, if we take seriously what the President of the United States is doing to this country, then the question for Mainers at this point is simply going to be, are you okay with that or not? He's the avatar, the only available avatar for not okay with that. And so, yeah, you damn well better vote for him.
All right. On that note, we're at time, and I have to read the Aristotle Pad quote because it fits today. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. Did you have fun?
This was a little fun.
A little fun?
It would have been more fun if it wasn't so damn hot outside.
If you weren't having to wear pants?
Also, I'm a little upset. Could like a valued listener send me a doll to go up against the Minions?
So now you want to play with dolls? You want to play with
I'm
dolls?
just saying,
on the show?
like, you've
It's
got
a
a prop
therapy
and I
session?
don't.
I don't. You've two
I'm feeling
cups.
very left out of props here.
Left out of props.
I'll see what I can do next time.
Yvonne will get on that. So things to look for, people of the pod. We are doing live shows. We're getting merch. We're gonna get stickers. We're gonna get merch. I know that you don't like the whole merch.
I voted
idea.
against the merch, but I was overruled.
You were ruled by the guy who's
We're
actually
doing merch. We're doing merch.
By we doing merch, I will be paying for the merch.
I'm just going to
you
show
get
off
outvoted
by the
so
way,
much.
So long as we're doing merch,
you
I'm just going to show
undressing
off
now?
my Sierra Club shirt that I'm wearing. Yeah,
Is this-
staying on brand.
This is
Last
a
time I
family
was wearing
show.
a Flaming Hydra shirt.
This
Now
is
I'm
a
wearing a
family
Sierra
show.
Club shirt. Trying to stay on brand with the things I want to support. Join
Our-
the Sierra Club, folks.
See you in a couple weeks.
Bye.